Today on Fish Den 365, I'm going to show you everything I learned about the new Berkly Chop Block. This one's one you're going to want to watch. Okay, so we're talking about the new Berkly Chop Block. So there are three different sizes. The Chop Block comes in three different sizes. The first one is a 6-inch. Then there is an 8-inch. And then a 10-inch. So you've got a number of different sizes to choose from here. And this chop block is a very unique bait. All three sizes work very well from my point of view. And I'll get into this with how I like to work them very shortly. But before I do that, let's take a look at each one in the water briefly. So we're going to show you footage of the 6-inch chop block first. Next up is the 8-inch chop block. And then last but not least, the 10-inch chop block. So one of the things I really like about this bait is that it's very easy to fish. You know, I have a number of glide baits. I got into glide bait fishing a couple of years ago now. I was a little late to the party on this, and I should not have been, because about 5 years ago someone showed me, a guide that I know showed me the power of these things and how they draw fish from a good distance. And so I should have been on this ride a lot sooner, but better late than never. I have a lot of different hard glide baits and some soft ones, and you can go down a rabbit hole with these baits. You can pay as little as $12 for one of these, or you can pay as much as $400 and $500, maybe even more. And so this chop block is a bait that is a soft glide, and this is the 8-inch here. It's got this mesh that holds it together, and then it has a unique hooking system where it has this trailer hook that has there's a magnet right here that the trailer hook rests upon, and then there's a little groove that this little hooked piece goes into the groove, and then the trailer hook goes onto the magnet, and then the main treble goes into a groove in the bait, and there's also a clip to hold that main treble. The bait has some nice eyes on it, and for the size of the bait compared to a hard glide bait, it's much lighter. They bill the 6-inch glide bait, the 6-inch chop block, as a 1-ounce bait, but it doesn't feel like a 1-ounce bait. When you have this on your rod, you can throw this on a medium heavy rod. That's what I use for it, and a medium heavy jig rod. It's not really an ounce. It feels more like maybe 3/4 of an ounce, if that. So it's easy to throw. When you get to these bigger ones, obviously you need a little bit more of a beefier rod. With the 10-inch one, I use my glide bait rod. And you can use a glide bait rod for the 8-incher, or you can use a heavy action, maybe a frog rod, something like that would throw this well as well. So there's two ways that I like to fish this bait. And then there's a number of variations for each of those ways, and then you can combine those two ways. So it actually becomes quite variable how you fish it. The first way that I like to fish it, and it's a very easy way to fish, you don't have to do anything with the rod tip, you don't have to do any twitching, it's just in the reel. And what you do, and this depends on the speed of your reel, the gear ratio, but you just do a partial turn. It could be a quarter turn, a third of a turn, or half a turn. You have to determine that based on the reel you're using. But what you want to do is you just turn that reel, that partial turn, say a half a turn, or for me it's about a third of a turn. And when you do that and stop, the bait goes one way. And then when you do that again and stop, the bait goes the other way. So that's the glide motion on this bait. And it's a very good glide motion. All three baits, all three sizes glide very well. And so I really like to fish it that way. And oftentimes I'll do that very slowly. I'll do one turn, it'll glide, and then it'll slowly drift. And then I'll do another turn, it'll glide back this way, and it'll slowly drift. And as it's drifting, it's just slowly sinking, like it's injured, like it's hurt. So, one way it's going to glide this way, slowly sink down, and then glide this way, slowly sink down. I like to fish it slowly like that. I've caught most of my fish that way, but I've been fishing in cold water, so that kind of determines how I'm fishing the bait. The other way that you fish this bait is chopping it. So there's a couple ways you can do chopping. You can do that reel turn, but much more forceful and with a less time in between each turn to make it chop. Or you can use your rod and twitch it like you would a Zara spook or a jerk bait, and you'll get that same chopping motion. So now this time the bait's chopped this way. And one of the things about chopping the bait that is really interesting is the bait is moving a lot side to side, but hardly any movement forward. So it stays in a fish's strike zone quite long because it chops tight. It's a good chop, chops back this way, and it's moving not very far forward as you're chopping it each time, but it does have movement to it side to side. So those fish can come up underneath it, look at it, observe it, and then determine if they want to come and attack it or not. Really, really good for both of those presentations. And what I mean by varying those presentations is that if I'm doing the glide, the variation is the length of pause that I do in each glide. You can do glide, 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 kind of a faster glide, or a medium, steady glide, 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 and then a very slow glide. If you do that slower glide, the bait will go deeper for you. You can get that 6-inch bait, if you throw it out there and wait a little bit before you start retrieving it, you can fish it effectively down around 4 feet. And so I'll fish this bait. I usually don't fish it much deeper than 12 feet of water, but if the water's clear and I get that bait down 4, 5, 6 feet, they're going to come up for it if they want it. So that's why I say a 12-foot range is a good range to fish the 6-incher. Now as you go up in size, each one of these goes a little bit deeper. So you can get down a little deeper if you're patient, especially with the 10-incher. That one goes down much faster than the 6-incher, for example, and so you can fish it deeper. And then the variation with chopping is just how fast or slow you're chopping the bait. One of the things I like to do is throw it out there, let it sink a little bit, and I'll begin by doing the glide retrieve, that third of a turn of the reel handle. So it glides one way, and I'm fishing it slow right now. And then another third, and it glides the other way, and each time it's going down a little bit. Glide, wait, glide, wait. Because the thing, when you wait with this thing, it looks so natural in the water. It just looks like a fish, suspending or hovering there. It's really, really good. So it's one of the reasons why I get away with being able to do that real long pause in between, and sometimes that drives them crazy. And a retrieve, when you're doing that, takes quite a while for you to get the bait back to your rod, back to your boat or to the shore, because it just takes time to do that. So what I'll usually do is for the first third, or maybe even for the first half of the cast, I'll do that glide routine. And then if I don't get bit doing that and I want to get the bait back a little faster for my next cast, I'll do the chop routine. I'll just chop it quicker so that I can get it back to the boat faster. So there's another way you can fish the bait. Multiple ways to fish it, and they are very effective. I mean, this thing gets hammered when they're in that, when they're looking for this kind of presentation, it gets hammered. I had a smallmouth nail these things, largemouth, pike, pickerel. I haven't had an opportunity to fish them for stripers yet because of the time of year, but in the spring when it's striper time, I'm going to kill them on this bait. I can't wait to fish it for stripers. Now, just so you know, about 95% of my experience so far has been with the 6-incher, and the reason for that is I was fishing for smallmouths and I wanted lots of bites, so I was using the smaller glide, and it works really good. It's not like some of these other glide baits that are small like maybe this one, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, that don't really work that good. This thing works really well at 6 inches. Now, if if it was a little bit warmer and I was looking for those bigger fish, then I would go to that 8-incher, and of course, you'll get maximum drawing power by using this 10-incher. They all have their time and place, and I will be using all 3 of them in the future. I just started out with that 6-incher because I wanted more bites, and I was fishing a lot of the smallmouth reservoirs. So there's something that the bait does not do very well, especially the smaller one, and that is it doesn't swim very well on a steady retrieve. If you throw this out there and you want it to do that S swim, like a magic swimmer type swim, it doesn't do that very well. You can get the 6-incher to swim by using your reel and intermittently stopping as you reel. But the swimming motion, if you want that, that's not really where this bait shines. You can get it to do it, and the 8-incher swims okay. It has a decent swim, and a 10-incher probably a little bit better still. But it's really not meant for that. It's a glide bait. It's meant to be glide. It's meant to be chopped. That's where this bait really shines. Now, a lot of you may remember that this is not Berkly's first soft bait. Here's the Berkly Nessie, and that came in 3 sizes as well. I think it was like maybe 9, 7, and 5, something like that. And so the Nessie, I never felt really good about it being a glide bait. It had more of that swim motion to it. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm selling my Nessies. I don't need them anymore. And the reason for that is I can't think of a time when I'm going to be fishing that if I have to choose between the two, every single situation that I can think of, I'm going to be choosing the chop block. So all these Nessies that I bought, and I bought quite a few of them, I'm selling all of them. I don't need them anymore. The chop block is better. I'm telling you, the chop block is a better bait. It's going to catch more fish. Not that the Nessie won't catch fish. It catches a lot of fish. A lot of people really like that bait. But for me, if I have the choice between one or the other, it's going to be this one. One other thing that I wanted to mention that I don't really care for with this bait is there's a clip for this first hook, and this, you put the hook in the little slot in the bait, but there's also a clip right there that hook goes into. It's awful tight, and I don't like putting it in there because it's so darn tight. I'm not sure that it'll come out when I catch a fish. So there's 2 things you can do about it. You can do what I'm currently doing is I just put the hook in the slot of the belly, but I don't put the hook in the clip. See the gap there? I just rest it on the edge of the clip. And then that way when I get bit, the hook can just swing away from there very easily. And that's what I want. So I don't use that clip. Now the other thing you could do is you can take a pliers and open that up a little bit so it's not so tight. But every one of these is so darn tight, when you try and pull the hook out, you're hooking yourself almost. And when you try and push the hook in, you got to be careful you don't hook yourself. It'll just rest there like that, and if for some reason it comes out, or if I hit some weeds or a fish grabs it, I just put it right back in place. There's a slot in the bait that holds the hook just fine, and that's how I prefer to fish it, because I want that hook to come out easier when they go ahead and bite it. So when we're talking about the chop block, this is, if you haven't fished glide baits, or you want to get into them, if you haven't started, this is a good bait to start with because it doesn't cost very much. I don't remember the exact pricing for these, but I think the smallest one is in the $15 range, and for the largest one you might be paying something in the mid to high 20s. But that's so much cheaper than a lot of other, like the hard glide baits that are out there. Some of the good ones are, some of the best ones for the price that I know of are like $50 range. The Spro KGB Chad Shad, that's one's probably in that range. And then there's the Buka Trick Shad is another one that I really like for probably a similar price range. And then after, if you want to get better ones, you're spending even more money, $100 even more. You can get them custom made as well. And these things, I have a friend who made one for me, John Tosca. He made me a really good one that I catch a lot of fish on. But if you're just starting out, these things are killers. I mean, they're going to catch fish for you. And like I said, they're very easy to fish. You don't. One of the things that I can't wait for is to throw this at night for stripers. I'm out there at night, and I usually fish between 11 and 3 o'clock, and if the bite's good, I'll be out till 4, maybe even 5 in the morning. And you get tired, and sometimes you can go into a hypnagogic state while you're fishing, you know, and my brother and I have gotten good at this. Like, you fish a redfin, you just throw it very slowly, you just throw it out there and you're real slow, and it's making a wake on the surface, and you could be, you know, kind of half in another state of mind, and when one blows up on it, you're ready, you set the hook, because it's so easy to fish. And this is very similar to that. It's very easy to fish this bait. You just throw it out there and you just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You don't have to move the rod at all. Just 1, 2, 3 with the reel and pause, and it's going to be working for you. And they're going to catch fish, and you can be in that half asleep state and still get hooked up and wake up quickly once you do. So that's how easy the bait is to fish. You don't have to really be fully conscious to fish the bait, and I like that. And I kind of feel that for the price, this is probably the best glide bait to get. It's a soft glide. You know, it has advantages that way too. A fish can bite this, and look at that. You weren't going to get that to happen out of a hard glide. It just folds up because it's soft. And you may be wondering, well, how well does it hold up? Well, this particular bait has caught quite a bit of fish already for me, and you know, there's one little nick on it that I see here, a little nick right there. Probably can't even see that. I've got northern pike, I've got pickerel. It holds up very well. I don't know how many fish will last, but I've gotten at least a dozen fish on this thing, and it doesn't even look like it has any wear marks on it. And the funny thing is, if it did get some holes and stuff like that, it would probably look even better to the fish. It look more injured. So it holds up great. That's the bottom line. You're going to get a lot of fish out of each one of these. You also may be wondering about this stinger hook arrangement, right? It's got this string here that attaches the stinger hook to the main hook. And they sell these stingers separately. So if you get one that gets torn apart, or the hook bends or whatever, or maybe that string, you know, I don't know, maybe it breaks or whatever, you can get a new stinger. But I gotta tell you, whatever this string is made of, it is super tough. I caught about a 30-inch northern pike at Canisius, and this hook, the stinger hook, was way down its throat, way down its face, and that rope was in the corner of its mouth where all the teeth are here. And I was in a hurry because the smallmouth were biting, and I just went to get the dang thing off the hook, and I got the front hook off, and that stinger was back there, and I thought, well, I'll just scrape it along that pike's teeth and break. I couldn't do it. I could not break that string between the two hooks by using the pike's I mean, I was rubbing it like this in its mouth against those sharp teeth, and it took it. And this is that bait, actually. There's no damage to that string, even though that sharp tooth was being rubbed on there. So that's going to last you a long time too. Very well made bait. You know, I'm impressed with what Berkly's done with this particular bait. They got it right this time. I'm not sure they got it fully right with the Nessie. Yeah, they called that a glide bait too, and this is a glide bait. It glides, it chops, it does what a glide bait should do, and I can't wait to fish it more. The thing about these kinds of baits is they're fun to fish, and because they're soft and weigh less, they're easier to fish. These bigger glide baits, they weigh 2, 4, 5 ounces, and they can wear you out. You have to use the heavier gear, and it's just, even if you're not using the heavier gear, they wear you out throwing it and reeling it in. These, not so much. This 6-inch is really easy to fish. It's no different than any other bait that I'll throw. And these other baits, like the 8-incher here, it's not heavy for its size compared to other glides, so it's gonna, you know, it's going to be a pleasure to fish it as well. This one, when you get to that 10-inch size, I'm going to use my glide bait rod, but it's lighter than a 10-inch hard bait would be. So great glide bait for the price. Good bait for an introduction to glide bait fishing if you want to just get started with something and you haven't done it. Great intro to glides. Also, they come in a multitude of good colors. Take a look at this. Take a look at some of the colors that are available. I like this. This is called Burnt Bone. It's not too bright, but it has that white on it. It's one of my favorite colors for when the water has a little bit of stain to it. But there's, for real clear water, there's other colors that look like a shad or an alewife. And then they have this color that I think is called bluegill, but it could pass for a bluegill or a perch. And right now I can't find that for sale in the 6-inch size anywhere. They're out of stock in the places that I've been looking. But you can bet I want that bait for the Poconos next year, for those shallow water Pocono lakes. It's going to do real well where there's bluegills and perch as the main forage. So if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm really high on this bait. I love to fish it. It's a pleasure to fish. It's fun to get the strong bites on it. I had a pike eat the bait when I was at Canisius, where the rod actually ripped out of my hand. I had to grab the end of the rod before it went into the water, and I've had vicious hits with it with the largemouth and smallmouth as well. So it's just a fun bait to fish. And I'll leave you with one other trick that I've learned to do with this bait that is going to help me catch more fish when I'm fishing any kind of overhanging trees or docks, especially docks. And that is, you can set this bait up where you can make it run each time you glide it. You can glide it further to one side than the other. So you can throw it alongside of a dock, and what you would do is, when you're using that reel turn, you do a real short turn this way, a bigger turn, and then that goes to the right more, and then you do that short turn and it moves here, and then a bigger turn and it goes to the right more. And you can make that thing go right under docks, swim it right under docks that way, and that's probably going to drive some of the fish crazy if you're fishing dock fish. You can do the same thing under underhanging brush along a bank. If you have an undercut bank, you can get it near or into that undercut. Great way to get the bait where you want it to be, where you wouldn't normally be able to fish it or get it to. Well, I hope you liked the presentation here about the chop block. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hype my channel for me, and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And then keep it tuned here. We have a lot of good videos coming up. If you did like the video, feel free to comment, let me know what you thought. Is there anything I left out? Any questions about these baits? Please comment and let me know. Until next time, be safe out there, and as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.